So, just on that point, we see a lot of times in schools these days the standard is dropping so much. As Muslim children, they have to obviously deal with a lot of prejudice against Islam. So how should they react when someone is doing this?
You see, I have noticed this not only here but also everywhere in other countries, that after a while, a good conduct of a child, be it a girl or a boy, wins the battle in his favor.
Of course, yes.
And he begins or she begins to command respect, not only from the students but also from the staff and teachers, etc. I remember once a young girl from America wrote to me about her decision. She was just growing of age, coming into, adulthood, and she decided that she would observe regular parda. She was a brave girl, and she got a burqa of Pakistani style. It was not essentially the only style of parda, I of course agree, but she wanted to do it and face the music, whatever it was. So she went to the college, and she wrote to me that she was jeered and booed, and everybody said, "What has happened to you?" and this and that. Look at her. She said, "I kept my composure. I remained correct. I didn't mind. I was so happy inside that I'm holding my head high for the sake of Allah, and I don't care what happens to me." She said, then she wrote to me that it was fascinating to observe the change in their attitude within a few weeks. Those jeers died down. Instead of that, respect, replace the attitude and change their whole stance towards this. And then she reported about a teacher speaking to her with great respect. He said, "What you are? Where have you been brought up? I have not seen character like yours before in my experience." And she gave a lecture on Islamic values to the same class which used to look down upon. Now, I have noticed in this regard that it is always the inner attitude which wins the battle for you or loses the battle for you. If you're afraid of yourself, if you're suffering from a complex, all the time feeling uneasy, then you have already lost the battle. If you have full confidence, you do not care what happens to you in matter of principles. You say that principles are not to be compromised. And then remain correct, of course. Don't be too sentimental about things or react strongly about certain behaviors. If you remain correct and calm, then you are bound to create an impression where you will ultimately be respected. And you will witness this yourself. So the same is true everywhere, not only in England, but also in America, in Europe. Recently, I also heard from a Ahmadi girl in Germany. She said the attitude here is changing very fast towards foreigners, particularly those who observe their religion with sincerity and with firmness. So they are the most unpopular people here nowadays, she said. But she said when I had decided, because she had been coming to my question-answer sessions, etc., I knew this was the right way. So I had decided to remain whatever they thought of me or what said of me. And exactly the same experience was quoted, in different words, but the same experience. Now, the whole atmosphere is changed. And she too was requested by the teacher to give a lecture on Islamic values and how she felt inside and what was it which made her so bold to stick to these moral values so strongly, so courageously. So I think this is important in this regard. Ahmadi boys and girls should first of all be convinced themselves that this is a good conduct. I should imprint this on others rather than receive their imprint on myself. That can only happen if you are convinced deeply that it is good. It's very important. That gives you confidence. Once you have that confidence then you are bound to create impressions.